So hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. On tonight's video we're actually out on the Triumph Speed Twin Gold line. Now this bike's been kindly lent to me by Triumph UK, so thank you very much. So the Gold line is one of 1,000 worldwide, and I've been lucky enough to get my hands on one. So stick around, stay tuned, and we'll be right back. So the Street Twin Gold line, and as I said, this bike's one of 1,000 worldwide, and I think I'm the first person in the UK to get this press bike, so I feel very honoured and lucky. Thank you, Triumph. Now I've ridden a few months ago actually when I went down to Triumph, and I only managed to get about a 40-minute ride in, so I was very interested to just see how this bike is to live with for a week. Now, having tested the T120 for a week, there's two bikes out of the Bonneville range that I've only had a short ride on, and that's this one, and then the other one is the T100. So that's when I went down to Triumph HQ. So I've got the Gold line, and then I've got the T100 coming for a week after. So I'd like to understand between them both. They're both using the same engine, the 900cc 270-degree crank parallel twin. And by the way, I do love this engine, the 900. I think it's far better for road use than the 1200cc T120 engine. And the reason I say that is because the 1200's just a little bit too big, and with it being a twin, it's not lumpy through town, but you're kind of riding the throttle a lot more on the 1200, whereas the 900 engine is just superb. It's got all the torque, and I'll run you through the specs just shortly. I like this engine a lot better. Now we're just down at Glasson Dock this evening, so I'm just going to pull over in a nice little favourite spot just here, and I'm going to walk you through the specs of this beautiful machine and show you a little bit more. Okay, so let's have a look through the specs of the Gold line. Now, as I mentioned, this bike has got a special paint job. It's been hand painted, and as you can see, all of the pinstriping and the gold detail is actually hand painted as well on the tank. Even the pinstripe on the wheels is hand painted, and also on the back. It's a beautiful paint scheme, and this is the matte sapphire black. So like I mentioned, one of 1,000, and that's globally. So the engine on this bike, it's a 900cc liquid cooled. It's a 270-degree parallel twin, and also it puts out 64 brake horsepower at 7,500 RPM, and then it does 80 newton meters of torque, and that's at 3,800 RPM. Tyres on the bike, we've got Pirelli Phantom Sport comps, and you find these on pretty much most of the Bonnevilles. So we've got a 150 tyre at the back, and that's on a 17-inch rim, and then on the front you've got 100, and that's on an 18-inch rim. Suspension on the front, you've got non-adjustable 41mm cartridge forks with the gaiters on just there, and then on the rear you've got twin RSU, and these are preload only. Brakes on the bike, so we've got Brembo calipers on the front, and these are 4-piston calipers, and they're on a 310mm disc. So on the rear we have Nissin 2-piston on 255mm discs, and you've got ABS front and rear. So the seat on this bike is 765mm in height, so I'm 6'2", flat-footed, bent-kneed. It's quite a small bike. It's kind of the baby Bonnie in the range, but look at the paint scheme on this thing. Just absolutely stunning. Blows me away. Now the price of this bike is £9,000, and that's up from £8,400, and the standard Street Twin comes in either blue, you've got like an iron colour, or a jet black. On the front we've got standard headlights, just a bulb, non-LED, standard indicators, and also on the back standard. The weight of this bike is 216 kilograms. So the fuel capacity on the bike is 12 litres, and this will do 68.9 miles per gallon, or 4.1 litres per 100 kilometres. Engine on the bike, you've got a 10,000 mile service interval, and like I say, this is a special, so this is hand finished with the gold and black paint scheme. Rather lovely, wouldn't you say? The bike itself is A2 compliant. You can get a kit for this, use this on an A2 license. Also underneath the seat unit is a USB charger. It comes with these beautiful upswept tailpipes, and this is fuel injected. As you can see, the cover over the fuel injection just there, and then you've got the airbox just actually in there. Fuel cap is lockable, and just a twist to off. Okay, so while sitting on the bike, you've got mirrors, very practical, you can see everything behind me. So you've got standard switchgear, nice throttle, well connected, adjustable brake lever just there. One thing I wish Triumph had done on this is on the front here, they could have put the number, like 1 of 1000 and so on. Can't see it anywhere on the bike, but I'm sure it's on the VIN, or some plate somewhere on the bike, so I'll try and find it. On this side you've got modes, so you've got road and rain, you've got your information button to scroll through the LCD on the dash, you've got your horn, your lights flicking high and low beam, and your indicators. So back to basics, which is quite refreshing really. So the clocks, as you can see just here, you've got a standard speedo, so you've got a fuel gauge, traction control, on or off, you've got your miles, you've got your trip 1, trip 2, miles per gallon, obviously that reads out while I'm moving, and then how many miles are left back in the tank, so that's a really good feature. And also the RPM, so you've got a digital RPM, very nice. Beautiful matte paint finish with the matte silver stripe and then the gold line down the centre of the tank, absolutely beautiful. And now we're going to get on this beauty and take it for a nice ride. The engine, as I say, is the 900cc engine out of the T100. It's a beautiful engine, absolutely lovely sound, and I prefer this definitely over the 1200. Now, just like all of the Bonnevilles, it's really comfy. The bench seat can't get any better really. So I think the seat height is 780mm on the T100, and with myself being 6'2", I'm a little bit tall for this bike, so it's kind of aimed at the shorter rider really. I think the perfect bike for me would be the T100 with this engine, just absolutely beautiful, really smooth, nice and crisp. I actually took this up the motorway the other night, cruising at motorway speeds, or just above. It was absolutely sweet. Didn't really feel the need for cruise control, although you do get that, I believe, on the T120. But the throttle is really connected for a fuel injected bike. There's no surging going through town. I think it would make the ideal Sunday bike or the commuter bike, but the thing is just absolutely beautiful. Like with all of the Triumphs that I've test rode recently, the quality on the bikes is second to none really. And the paint on this thing, to say it's been hand painted, is really beautiful. And I also like it because I'm very fond of matte black and gloss black bikes. This really ticks all the boxes with myself. I could happily live with this machine. It's just back to basics, really is. You've got a speedo, okay, your tachometer's on the LCD there. You have got a gear indicator, by the way. You've got your turn signal indicators, just basic switch gear, but I actually like this switch gear over the switch gear that's on the Street Triple, the Speed Triple, and also they put it on the Rocket 3 that I've just sent back, and that's kind of like an indicator micro switchy, whereas this is more of a proper feel to it, which I like a lot better. Sometimes I think electronics just a little bit go overboard recently with all the connectivity dashes and things. And that torque she has, just instant torque for overtaking vehicles, absolutely beautiful. Chassis wise, really nice, bike feels quite light, just tips into the corners. You don't need any more power than this engine. Really is nice. And with it being a twin, you just get that beautiful, crisp, clear sound. Nice burble coming from the upswept exhaust at the back. And the exhaust are finished in a nice brushed stainless steel effect. Really do look nice. The accessories on this bike, I think Triumph hold about 130 different accessories, so you can really customize this machine. And I've noticed since I've been looking at the classic bike market, there are a lot of companies doing aftermarket parts and seats and things. I think if there was one thing I'd change, I would put the brown quilted seat on this bike just to contrast the black. That would look absolutely epic. So brakes on the bike, nothing behind me. Yep, they really stop, and also the rear brake is quite adequate, really. So it's a 2-pot Nissan caliper on the rear, so yeah, quite good. Headlights, not tried it at night yet, but with it being a bulb, it's quite a warm colour, and I actually think it complements the bike because it really takes you back to that old glow and like a yellowy glow of the headlight. As for the handling, it's just superb, really is good. I'm looking for faults, things I don't like about it, and it's quite hard recently with most bikes, to be honest, because they are really refined and have everything that you'd want. Obviously there's some niggles, but we'll go through those in the final ride video of things that I would, you know, change or I dislike on the bike, and also the things that I do like on the bike. If you haven't seen the first ride on the T100 and the T120 yet, so I've created a playlist on my channel which has all of the Triumph first rides and things and last rides. So if I put a link up in the top right hand corner just here, and then you can go over and have a look at the Triumphs that I've tested so far. So what I'm trying to do on the channel is give you a true review of what these bikes are like to live with. Not just an hour's test ride, but actually get some miles on these things. And I think roughly I'm putting about 300 to 350 miles in the week on these things, mainly at night during the week obviously, and try and get out at the weekends on them. But yeah, put a comment below on what you think of the paint scheme on this bike, whether you like it or not, and whether you'd pay, you know, £600 more for the gold line. And from what I can see on the bike, it pretty much is just the paint scheme that's different. So is that worth £600 over the standard? You can't actually get the bike in a matte black as standard. Like I say, it comes in a blue, which is the one I tested down at Triumph. They do like an iron colour, and then they do a jet black, which is also very nice. That's the gloss black, which is a nice nice colour to have. No vibrations through the bars or the foot pegs on this thing, even on the motorway at motorway speeds. Because the engine is so torquey, literally you could leave it in 4th gear along lanes like this, just corner and power out the corner, you know, without any hassle whatsoever. So ergonomics of the bike, well, it's an upright sit up and beg type position. My legs and my knees aren't bent too much, quite comfy. So a couple of items on the accessories. You can actually get like a mesh screen guard for the headlight at the front there, which looks quite nice, makes it look quite old style. And also if you're looking for some luggage, they do some nice leather luggage bags that go on each side, which are quite nice. A little bit pricey, but that's leather goods for you. Now, when I went down to the MCN festival last weekend on the Rocket 3 GT, that was one of the comfiest bikes I've ever ridden, but I would happily go down on a Bonneville. Seats so comfy, riding positions really comfy, and I just love that these bikes are so simple. You know, back to basics. And somebody mentioned to me about the you can't see from here, but Just on the top of the cylinder heads there, you can get to the spark plugs to change those. Now on a modern day naked or a sport bike, you've got to take the tank off, you've got to take the airbox off, and then have special tools to get into these things. But if you're, handy with a set of spanners, then servicing these bikes on your own is not an issue. Would it make a good first bike? Yes, it would, because of the A2 license factor that you can get a kit on this thing. Competition to this bike, probably you're looking something like a Royal Enfield, probably the Interceptor, but obviously, is it competition? Because that's a 650, this is a 900. So I feel that this is more refined as a motorcycle, a lot better, and that engine is absolutely awesome. What else? If you're A2 license and you're looking for a Triumph, there are tons of bikes within the range. One bike that really impressed me was the new Triumph Trident. So if you want kind of a classic modern look, that definitely is one to test. But if you're really into the old school Bonneville style, then the Street Twin is an absolutely awesome bike. And of course you get the choice on an A2 license between this one, so if you're a shorter rider, definitely worth taking a test ride on this. And if you're a little bit longer in the leg like myself, then maybe the T100 that has the same engine would suit you as well on that. Suspension, even though it's non-adjustable forks on the front and just preload on the rear. Like I say, I'm a tall chap, but I actually weigh 95 kilos. Trying to lose a bit, I promise. Through the corners, the suspension pretty well set up for my weight. If you're a little bit heavier, maybe you could get different springs put into the forks and some different weighted oil. But I think with any bike, it's always best to get the suspension professionally set up to your weight and get the sag right on the front and rear. I think it's one of those bikes that you want to ride more and more. Always puts a smile on my face, and it's really engaging. And I don't know whether that's just because of this engine and the torque that it has and how the chassis is, but absolutely the simplicity of it. Because it is simple, I just find it really engaging and a pleasure to ride. So that's our first ride and look at this bike with the specs. What I'm going to do is continue to ride this now throughout the weekend and then into next week before it goes back midweek. So we'll get a load of miles on this, and then I'll come back and do a video on my final thoughts of this bike, any little hates or any loves that I can give it. But I don't think you can go wrong, really. Let me know in the comments what you think, obviously, of the bike and the paint scheme. It is a special. Would you pay that extra 600 just to try and get one of 1,000 worldwide? Like I say, Triumph haven't numbered it on the front bars here. But I'm sure in the logbook and somewhere else there must be a number. So it's quite a special bike, I think, for the colour and the paint scheme. Just this matte with the hand finished pinstriping. Absolutely beautiful. So thanks again, guys, for watching the video. Hope you liked it, and if you're not a subscriber to the channel, hit that subscribe button, and if you want notifications of videos coming up, then ding that bell. And if you're already a subscriber to the channel, again, appreciate it as always. Love your feedback, keep them coming. We'll catch you over the weekend with a ride out somewhere, I think. Okay, take care, guys, and I'll catch you on another one. Cheers.